'Tis the season to deck the halls with comics and speculation. This week, the trending list has a lot to unwrap, starting with Superman trailer. With the Man of Steel soaring back into the spotlight, we're asking the big question: can Krypto, the Superdog, fetch a top spot? Is Jeff the Langshark slipping in the ranks, or can he chomp his way to the top? Or will Ultimate Wolverine still tear through the charts, holding on to the crown? It's a festive showdown of heroes, pets, and claws. So grab your eggnog and get ready for this week's Comic Book Heat Index. Gosh, I love that explosion.
That's great.
Right? So we got the top trending comic books. This list is compiled up from certain metrics that I do. Shane's well aware of those metrics where I just do a lot of work. But I take information from the top 3 sites that give top 10 lists: Cover Price, CBSI, as well as Key Collector. I compile that information, but I also include fair market value prices as well as sales prices. I look at the sales for the last 30 days for these books and to see what it is. And also, finally, there is a hype. For example, if a book is on fire right now with like a certain artist or a character or something, then that will increase the hype. If it's something that's just a little buzz, then it's lower hype. And that's how we do this list. So that's how this list is compiled up. Let's kick it off and with number 10, The Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger Spawn, number 1. This is the Todd McFarlane, as everybody likes me to say it. 1 in 50 black and white variant. This book just came out. Near mint value of this book is $128 with a fair market value of $112. There's no reported slabs at the moment. It's number 9 in Key Collector, number 10 in CBSI, and number 7 in Cover Price. The sales volumes is actually not so high. It's at 18%. Hype level, it's Spawn. So I don't, Spawn has a following, and this is a Todd McFarlane cover. So
Yeah, I had this one in my hand when it came out, not the black and white, but the regular colored version of his cover. And I looked at it, and in my attempt to lower my weekly bill, I put it back, but maybe I'll pick it up this week.
the color edition is still pretty inexpensive. You could pick
Oh
that
yeah.
one up in a shop anywhere. It's the 1 in 50 that people are clamoring for because it is a black and white piece. Um, I like it. I think it's pretty dope. Um, Whenever you see Tom McFarlane doing a piece, and he's drawing a horse. So this is our first animal of the list. There's a horse.
Well, that's true. If anybody's interested too, I know that I picked it up. Knights versus Samurai, I believe issue 1 is a black and white Todd cover as well. That's probably a little bit easier to find than this one if you're after that sort of thing.
So that's our first book in this list. Deadly Tales of the Gunslinger Spawn, number 1. Our next book is The Spectre of issue 54. This came out in 1997 over at DC Comics. The last recorded sale was at $340 for 9.8. The fair market value of this book is $143 at near mint, with $374 at a 9.8. So that last recorded sale got a pretty good deal. This is not on Key Collector, nor is it on CBSI, but it is on Cover Price, and the sales volume is 29%. The hype level of this book is at a medium. You know anything about this book?
Yeah, you know what? This is another one we've talked about Spectre before, but this is one where I have most of this run, but I don't have this one. And this is Mr. Terrific, his first appearance, and with the trailer for the new Superman, or the teaser trailer, I guess. That's kind of what's driving this book up.
The first appearance of the current Mr. Terrific. This is the first book from the Superman trailer books that we're going to be seeing soon. Let's go to number 8. Superwoman Special number 1. This book we've seen before last week. It's the 1 in 25 Mark Spears variant. This is at $75 near mint. It's actually dropped a bit from last week. $81 near mint with a 9.8 going for $70. It is not on Key Collector, but it was number 6 on CBSI, number 20 at cover price. The sales volume of this book is at 41%, and the hype level is medium. I think Mark Spears is starting to, I think we're starting to see it dwindle down a bit. So this overall hype of Mark Spears' books is trickling to other books rather than his monsters books.
Yeah, I think so too. This and this cover, it ratios are so tough. I was talking about it before we started with a different book, but you just don't know. They're more of a gamble than most books, especially for me anyway. My store usually charges whatever it is or more. So if it's a 1 in 50, it's at least $50. So
Mhm.
it's a gamble.
Yeah. It's still a great book. I love his Lobo. He has this way of drawing his colors is really what stands out when it comes to Mark
Oh
Spears
yeah,
books.
for sure. I agree.
Mhm. Okay. Let's take a look at the next book in our list, and that's number 8. And it's another Mark Spears. It's Thundercats Apex #1. This is from Dynamite. Just came out. $25 near mint value. $25 is the fair market value. There's currently no reported slabs right now. The trendy list, it's 6 in Key Collector, 7 in CBSI, not in cover price at the moment. It also has a sales volume of 41%. And just like before, the hype level of this book is at a medium. So did you get to learn a little bit about this book? Because I did learn some stuff about this book this week.
Yeah, yeah. The only thing that I've seen is that it's potentially the future version of Lion-O.
Mhm.
And sorry, Thundercats fans, if I messed that up, but Thundercats fans, don't mess with them because clearly, like they're driving some huge variants and lots of them, and in this book as well.
Yeah, and this book has this rare occasion that it has the two meanings right now, two reasons to spec, right? The first
Yes.
spec is Mark Spears variant because of the how hot Mark Spears has been, but now you have like a secondary part of it where I think that will have more longevity than the Mark Spears variant part of it because this is a future rendition of Lino, an older version of Lino we learned from this book. Mhm. So it's still a great cover.
I think there's still a lot in this Mark Spears, um, because some of the covers, like there's a new one this week, and I messaged like comic store and was like, "Hey, are you getting this?" And he just laughed at me because it's and I'm
Just
like,
like
"Oh,
that.
okay." So there's still like a market for them, but I
Mhm.
do think you're right that it is quieting down some as more and more of his covers start to hit the market.
And people are starting to go back to his older stuff. Let's go to number 6 in our list, and that is it's Jeff, number
It's your
1.
boy.
That's my boy Jeff. 2023 came out. $40 near mint is the last sold. It's for $54 on fair market, $53 and 9.8. That's a little bit of an outlier to me where the near mint outperforms the slab. I think that's going to change over time. As of right now, you could buy slab cheaper than you could buy the comic book.
Yeah, and you know what? I don't know how many appearances Jeff had before this book came out. We're
Mhm.
going to talk more
He
about
has a
the
few.
early
He has a
ones.
few. Yeah,
Yeah,
he does
but
have a
this
few.
to me, this cover, like it kind of is a better illustration than definitely his first cover,
Mhm.
which we talked about last week. And kind of it portrays more of what you're going to get if you read the inside, in my opinion.
Yes, and this is the Jeff that we've come to know. So the first time we see Jeff, which we're going to talk about a little later, he looked more like a shark than he
Yeah,
did this animated cartoony version of a shark. Um, so he's definitely evolved within this short amount of time that he's been around. Um, as far as the trending list goes, it's not on Key Collectors, not on CBSI. It's number 8 on cover price. The sales volume of this book is at 36%. That means it's still selling, and Jeff is still hot right now.
yeah.
He is very hot.
Marvel
So,
Rivals.
mhm.
Again, when I talk to my kids, it's like they know who this character is, even though they've read the books. They know him more now because of that. Even my 19-year-old,
Mhm.
you know, knows about Jeff.
Let's take a look at number 5. It's Jeff, the Jeff verse issue number 1. This is the book that came afterwards in same year. $6 near mint was the last sale, and its fair market value is at $14. Check this out. A 9.8 goes for $27 at the moment.
How's that even possible?
Ex-
I
People
mean,
weren't specking on Jeff.
yeah.
That's
this is
that's
the
how that's possible.
this is the book that when I started to see Jeff everywhere, every time I opened up a comic thing, I searched my collection in CLZ, and I have this one. So I was like, "Oh, good. At least I have this one." And then it showed up on the list. I'm like, "Yes."
It's like I'm rich. I'm rich. Um, as far as the trending list goes, it's not on Key Collector nor is it on CBSI. It is number 3 on cover price, and the sales volume of this book is at 73%. That's a great sales volume of the book, as well as the hype level is high for this book. Again, both It's Jeff and It's Jeff the Jeff verse are collections of Infinite Comics, which are the digital comics. They decided to collect them into these, I guess you could call them volumes. And the first one, it's Jeff, and then the second one, it's the Jeff verse. They're really cool, fun, all age stories. Really, they're targeted towards younger kids, because there's most of them don't have words. It's just pictures and illustrations, and it's just a fun, like, this is one story where he's doing laundry. That's what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
Those kind of books.
Yeah, they're super easy to enjoy, and as they get to be more stories, I'm sure that they'll release some kind of trade or something,
Mhm.
and that'll do really well.
Yeah. Let's take a look at what's number 4, and it's another animal,
Another animal.
another pet, and that is Superman 680. This came out back in 2008 for DC Comics. The last sale was $37 near mint. Fair market value of this book is $14 at a very fine. 9.8 was going for $125. This book is not on Key Collective. It's number 3 on CBSI. It's number 1 on cover price. Sales volume is 44%. The hype level of this book is, if there was something that I could say higher than high, that's what this book would be. This is at an all-time high of all the books.
Max.
Exactly. This is a modern day appearance for Crypto the Superdog. And Shane, you got to tell me why Crypto's on this list.
Well, I was going to ask you what you thought about the trailer. That's where it's from. The trailer for the new James Gunn Superman movie dropped. And clearly, if you haven't watched it, I mean, I'm pretty sure everybody that reads comics has already watched it at least once. Uh, there's a key moment in it where Crypto saves the day type of thing.
Mhm.
And I wanted to know what you thought about the trailer because I'm sure you have some thoughts.
I loved it. I absolutely loved it. I thought it is everything I want a comic book movie to look like. You have some supporting characters, you have some side characters, which I'm sure will just make cameo appearances. They won't be in the full movie, and the movie's not focused on them. What I do know that a lot of people are fearful is how is James Gunn gonna handle so many characters? And my answer is he'll be fine. He's done the Guardians.
Yeah. Anybody watch that one?
Right?
He'll be okay.
He did it 3 times.
Yeah.
So I honestly believe he's gonna be fine with it. Trying to do something that hasn't really been seen in this kind of world, and what's really hasn't been seen is a true movie that looks like a comic book, and that's my impression of it. Um, I
Yeah.
think having Crypto in this movie is trying to set a tone that wasn't there. We're coming away from the Snyderverse, from the Man of
Yeah.
Steel version, which was more of a serious, dark tone to the DC universe. I never liked that universe. I was fine with it. I wasn't a fan of it in that way because I didn't feel like Superman was a dark character to begin with. So
Yeah, I really liked Elements, and I loved his Henry's performance in that. But I'm
Mhm,
really looking forward to seeing what James
mhm.
Gunn, and I mean, just imagine the pressure that he's under. Just personally, I would even say, not even from outside sources, because he knows like what
Make it or
people
break it.
expect. Yeah,
Mhm, exactly. The only thing I think, um I don't know how the logo's gonna work. It's there, But as we know, the typical S shield is so iconic that I'm a little concerned that it's not in this movie, but I'm fine with it as is. At least I
Yeah,
know what the logo comes from originally. All right.
I'd love to
Let-
see them play into the more of the early or 80s Justice League Guy Gardner. That was
well, in
love
case you
that one.
didn't know, Sean Gunn is also part of the movie and he's playing Maxwell Lord. So I think that's why you see Guy there instead of any other version of the Green Lanterns. Let's take a look at what's number three, and that is Captain America 180. This book came out way back in 1974 for Marvel Comics. The last recorded sale of this book was $35 at a fine, and $33 it's its current fair market value. 9.4s are going for about $237. This book is number one on Key Collector, it's number one on CBSI. It's not listed in cover price. And the reason why it's not listed in cover price is because kind of crypto pushed everybody to the side. The sales volume of this book is 72%. The hype level is high for this book. This book is very important. However, I don't know what's my overall thoughts on how this book's going to perform long term. This is when Steve Rogers dons the costume of No Man. Do you believe that this is going to pan out at the end of it all?
I don't know if they'll go with something that's not as recognizable as a different version of a dark cap or something like that. This to me seems a little bit too far into the comic land for the Marvel universe type movies.
Mhm. I agree. I don't know how it would fare in the MCU. I don't see him taking a mantle of No Man, especially when everybody knows it's Captain America. It didn't work. It didn't really work then as it did now. So, though the hype is high, I think this is one of those. I don't think it's going to cash out.
Yeah,
My personal opinion.
they want the big reveal as him and a villain, and we're probably going to get that. But it's going to be more of a some kind of darker version of Captain America
Mhm.
that'll be easily recognizable as okay, that's Captain America, but not a good one.
Yeah, like the last week we had the Captain America Hail Hydra
Yeah,
version of. I think that's more of a possibility than this one.
yeah, because they've already established Hydra. He'll have the Hydra logo on his shield, and
Mhm,
everybody will instantly know what that means.
mhm. Let's go with number 2 in our list. We're going back to Jeff. Gotta go back to Jeff. Now, this was number 2 last week as well, so this has stayed in its place. West Coast Adventures, issue number 7. This book came out in 2019 for Marvel. It currently sold for $200 near mint, and the fair market value of this book has went up to $193 near mint, while 9.8 also have gone up to $396. This book was number 2 on Key Collector. It was not on CBSI, but it was number 10 in cover price. What has taken this book to keep its number 2 status really was its sales volume at 54%, as well as its hype at a high. This book is hot.
Yeah, this is amazing. This is one of those stories of you have to you want to be just as it's hitting and you go to the store and you search the dollar bins and you could probably find 20 copies of this.
Mhm.
And now here we are. It's amazing, really.
Just under 15,000 copies. So I would say that's kind of like a fair amount of books that are out there. However, because this book is going for about $200, that is driving the ranking system. As I told you guys before, my ranking system is not just based on the trending list, it's also based on the price of a book, it's based on the sales of the book. So that's why this book is at number 2 in this list. But I will say this is the first appearance of Jeff, not as we know him, but as he was originally intended to be. It's kind of similar to Deadpool's first appearance, though he looked like Deadpool. His overall demeanor, character, what we would come to know him for, doesn't happen too much later. It is now time for the number 1 book of the week, and it's the same book as last week, Ultimate Universe 1 Year in number 1. This is the spoiler variant featuring the all new Ultimate Wolverine. Came out not that long ago, The last recorded sale was $9. Fair market of this book is $16. 9.8s are now starting to be sold at $58. It's not on Key Collector, but it was number 2 on CBSI, number 6 in cover price. And what really drove this back to number 1 was its sales volume, which is at 237%, which puts it on the hype level of a high.
This book, I love it. I got lucky, got a second copy, so I'm pretty happy with that of this cover. And everybody is kind of, well, I am anyway, waiting for that Ultimate Wolverine #1 to come out and see if it lives up to the hype that this is experiencing now. And everybody kind of wants it to.
We mentioned last week, Barry Windsor Smith homage cover is phenomenal. I also believe that he looks so damn cool. You know what
Yeah,
I mean? They did a good job with the orange and black, with the color scheme that they did for him. The muzzle has that, mystery to him. We're
yeah,
getting a Wolverine that's mysterious again. I
yeah,
kind of miss that in Wolverine, where we didn't know his whole origin back then. We knew a few things here and there, but we didn't know the full story. Once we got that, it kind of watered him down and diluted him a little bit.
yeah. Selfishly, I'm hoping they keep him a Canadian, but
I'm
we'll see.
sure. Well,
I've
he's also
kind
the
of read.
Winter Soldier in this one.
Yes.
So that's the list for this week. As I ask you all the times, tell me what you think of this ranking system. Which books do you have? Share your thoughts in the comments of the videos. And thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe for more comic content. Check out these other videos for even more insight. And I'll see you at the next one. Excelsior.